Okay, first of all, Ali Bhai, I welcome you back on the show. Our last show is still doing a lot of rounds on the internet, and people really liked your technical insight, your information, your knowledge about your craft. How are you?
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Thank you very much. I'm fine, Alhamdulillah, and good to be back. So, because I have 20 years of experience as a pilot, fighter pilot, instructor pilot, so I'll say this is my bread and butter. So, once we talk about aviation, especially fighter flying, so I'm very comfortable in it, and I really like to give my input to the audience. And my I try to make it simplify, like make it simple, not oversimplification, but many technical terms and jargons, they are not understood by masses. So many aviation enthusiasts or pilots, they are very comfortable once I talk about some technical things, but generally majority of the audience, they like it when I just make it simple for them to understand these modern air power, whether it is Operation Sindoor, Tejas crash, there was Operation Swift Retort in 2019 that Abhinandan episode. So there is a lot of interest, but because air power is a bit tricky, very technical, so generally the people who come, they say that we don't understand these technical terms. So I'll try to keep it simple for
That's a very
the
good.
masses and
That's a
all
very
the
good.
audience.
That's a very like
Yeah.
the MBBS doctors. They go through a course, community medicine. That is how they understand how to communicate with people who do not know medicine. So that's a very good strategy of yours. But our channel, we have covered military technology since quite a while now. Our audience is on a different level. So actually, the comments, most of the there were many comments by your counterparts as well from India, and they really liked your
Yeah.
opinion as well, because there is this. You guys are of the same fraternity. Also, our audience is also on a different level. We've interviewed a lot of different people around the world, so we our audience kind of knew about the AVAXs and the advanced technology and the multi-domain operations that Pakistan did that day. So, before the Teja went down, an evening before, I texted you with that video and asked you, what do you think about this? It was a video of the Teja at the Dubai flying festival, flying show, air show, and it was leaking. Some oil was leaking, and there was some
Yeah.
sort of containers. And you said, no, I don't think this is a big problem. What do you say now when the Teja went down? Does this change anything?
So just before crash, like you contacted me with that video, and it was circling on social media also. So I also saw another video of this Tejas display. I think it was on 19th November, and I said that this aircraft, it is underpowered. It has thrust to weight ratio less than one. The Indians, they claim, I don't know, they don't know this, or whether it's intellectual dishonesty. I'll not go in that detail, but their claim is not right that its thrust to weight ratio is more than one. Because an aircraft which has thrust to weight ratio more than one, its weight can be supported by the thrust and the lift being produced. The lift, basically the force of lift, it balances the weight of the aircraft, and the force of thrust produced by the engine, it balances the drag, the aerodynamic drag. So if you have thrust to weight ratio more than one, you can climb away by accelerating. So the stages crash, once the pilot was in that coffin corner or in that trouble, he was going towards the ground. If the thrust to weight ratio was more than one, he would have been able to fly away from the ground. There are other videos of F-16, the Solo Turk F-16. It also went like this, inverted over the heads of the crowd, the audience, and then it was able to fly away. Another video of Spanish F-18
Yeah.
Hornet aircraft, and it was like it was trying to avoid a flock of birds. It was displaying aerobatics on a beach. So it was coming from the seaside and over the water, and the people were standing on the beach. So it tried to avoid the birds and went down like this. And then immediately it
Picked up.
straightened out, and then it climbed away. The aircraft was saved. So like you were talking about that video, and I was discussing it with some Indians also on my X, the Twitter. Anybody can see on my timeline. There is a guy. I don't know whether he's a pilot or not, but his name is Sahil Singh, and he was like, we were commenting back and forth, and he was not happy with my claim that thrust to weight ratio of Tejas is less than one. He said it's more than one, and I was like trying to prove to him that this aircraft is underpowered and below par, and that leaking video, that was just one of the I'll say in that chain of events, or
Yeah.
in the long long line of evidence and proof that Tejas has issues. So that was one of those things. I don't know about the oil leakage, but because they have not yet, they again, as I say, if I say they lie, then they'll be disappointed and they'll be offended. So I don't know whether they lie or not, but the media, Indian media, was saying that it's water, condensation water. I don't think it was water, and I don't think it was oil. Personally, I think it was fuel drainage. The fuel drainage from some aircraft, it is possible. However, why I was like, as a pilot, I was not happy, and I thought it was highly unprofessional. Not, I'll not say it was some dangerous thing to the aircraft, but it was highly unprofessional because you don't put bags from the I don't know, that was some sweet shop, or the people,
Yeah.
they said that
Yeah.
this was some, yeah, so shopping bag, etc. So that means that you are not prepared. You are coming to Dubai Air Show, one of the biggest air shows around the world. Like it is equivalent almost to Paris Air Show and the one in Farnborough, UK. So once you are coming there to sell your aircraft and to celebrate aviation and aerospace industry, and to maybe attract customers towards your product, right? So you have to be prepared. So that was highly unprofessional, putting shopping bags under that, whether it was water, whether it was oil or fuel, I don't know. But technically, I don't think that that is directly responsible for the crash.
Yeah,
That
that's what I'm coming.
video.
If you
Yeah.
were there and you walked beside that plane and you saw that leakage, what would a pilot think of it? Is this like everyday thing, or is it very rare to see this, or does it happen like off and on?
Yeah, as I said, like as a pilot, I was not happy because that means that the team was not prepared. They should have some dip tray. We have like I am also from
No, no,
F7 PG.
I'm talking about the leakage itself. I mean, when
Yeah,
you see the leakage.
as I said, that the leakage, if it was from that, I think from the fuels vents, or maybe it was actually condensation water. So as a pilot, I'll just look closely that what is it. If it was some oil leak from engine, that is disastrous. That is criminal, right? So I would immediately think that this aircraft is a goner. But as I said, that I often say the Indian Air Force is a professional air force. Some people say they crash so much, so how they are professional. But at the end of the day, they are flying Rafales, they are flying Su-30 MKI, they have inducted S-400. They are world's fourth largest air force. So I think that the oil from the engine, it was not the case, because the other important point here is that the engine in indigenous Tejas aircraft is not indigenous. Indians, they really love to say this is made in India. Engine is American. Avionics, radar is Israeli. The ejection seat is British, Martin Baker seat. So I don't know it is indigenous or not, but the engine, American engine from General Electric, it is actually quite reliable. And they often say that the previous crash was also due to this oil malfunction. I personally think that I have my doubts on that. The American engines, these same engines are being used by F-18s and many other aircraft, also GE404, F404 engine. So if you see around the world, this engine is not having like these kinds of problems, that suddenly aircraft is standing on the ground and the oil will leak, because oil is in the engine, so it's all engine oil for the lubrication, etc. So in my humble opinion, it was not an engine issue. It was some maybe fuel vent or some condensation water anyhow. But definitely the professionalism question mark, that why you were not ready, why there was not a dip tray. So even if as a pilot I'll think that this is not a problem, technical malfunction that can lead to the crash of the aircraft, I will definitely not be happy that what's going on, why there is not a dip tray. And that simply means that you were not in the right mindset. I don't know the preparation. It was lacking. Maybe you were there and you were not thinking ahead, like you were not prepared that this thing can happen. So that raises question marks on the overall professionalism. However, As I said, in my opinion, that leakage was not responsible for the crash of the aircraft. But as I said, that it was not a good sight to see,
Yeah.
and definitely it should have been avoided, and it could have been avoided very easily.
So Ali bhai, when a pilot sees a plane go down like this, there are two things. Everyone thinks of two things. Was this the mistake of the pilot, or was this machine incompetent? It wasn't enough. So what the first thing you said, you're actually questioning the machine itself. You're saying that the thrust wasn't isn't balanced for the machine. What do you say about this?
So, two things. Firstly, as a pilot, I have my sympathies for the pilot. Like it's a fraternity. He's Indian, but we are adversaries. That's a separate thing. On the battlefield, we are enemies. He's trying to kill me. I'm trying to kill him. But as in this air show, my condolences to the family, and I was sad for his crash. He lost Wing Commander Namach Syal. He lost his life. So the first and foremost emotion was like sympathy for him. Now, then, as a pilot, I try to, because I have served in air headquarters also. I have served in quality assurance squadron, that is the flight safety setup, and and we are also operators, so we do these maneuvers and aerobatics also. So once I saw that video, that what actually happened, I first thing which came to my mind was that this is a pilot error. Pilot made a mistake, right? Because I'll briefly tell you that from the left he was coming wings level and on horizon. The nose is on horizon. So this is the most important thing to remember, that the nose was on horizon. He lifted up the nose, pitched up. We call it pitch up. You can just say that he gave back pressure on the stick and he just picked up the nose. And then he put in a 90-degree right roll for knife's edge pass. We call it knife's edge pass. It's the aircraft is like the canopy and the wings are towards the audience. So it's a photo op and you are going like this straight away. Now here he had to give forward pressure, the negative G. I'm trying not to get too technical, but
Yeah,
as
yeah.
you said that the audience is at a certain level, so I'll continue with my analysis that now he was giving forward pressure to keep the nose from going outside the turn, and he was giving rudder input also to keep the nose above horizon,
Okay.
right? From here, the problem started once he inverted the aircraft.
Okay.
Once the aircraft from 90-degree roll, another 90-degree roll, so it's like you are straight in level, now 90-degree, and now 180-degree. So another 90-degree. Here the nose, if you see the old videos of same Tejas aircraft, I'm not talking about any other aircraft, same aircraft in 2022 and previous air shows, you can actually see that the nose stays above horizon like this. So aircraft is not like this, it is like this above horizon, right? In this video, if anybody, like if you you're not aware of aerodynamics and anything, you just look at the video. Once, as soon as he inverted, the nose went like this. It was buried, it dropped around 45 degrees below horizon, and the aircraft started losing altitude. So it was already maybe at 500 feet, 600 feet. So it lost that precious 200, 300 feet. So this, I think, this here, first we pause here. This is a $1 million question now, that whether the pilot made a mistake, he whatever reason, maybe in my opinion he was momentarily, I'll not say lost consciousness. It's a physiological phenomena. The doctors are flight surgeons, they told us that once you are giving negative G's, the blood rushes to the brain, and then the body, it tries to balance the blood pressure, and it opens the blood vessels in the chest and in all the other muscles. So as soon as you are in negative G's, and then once he went to this positive G, from negative to positive, the blood rushes from the brain to the lower limbs. So his brain was deprived of oxygen for 1 to 2 seconds and he lost situational awareness. So at that moment, maybe he was sluggish in giving that control input, where he was supposed to keep the nose inverted above horizon, but the nose went below horizon. So that is a pilot error. Pilot error does not mean that he is not professional or he made a mistake or he didn't know how to fly. There can be n number of reasons. He was distracted, he was preoccupied, maybe he saw a bird, he was looking towards that bird for 1 to 2 seconds, he
Yeah.
lost focus. So anything can happen. So in my opinion, this was a pilot error, that why he lost that altitude once he was inverted. However, After that, once he tried to regain control, and
Okay.
he immediately he completed the roll, wings level, and now I can clearly see that he is pulling the stick fully back and trying to climb away from the ground. So the aircraft is wings level, nose high altitude, but it is continuously going
Going
down
down.
in the rate of descent. Yeah. So that's where I think the aircraft, the machine failed him. If this was a good aircraft with thrust to weight ratio more than one, pilot would have been able to fly away, like I have given the previous examples of F-16, F-18, any good aircraft with high thrust to weight ratio. Generally, American aircraft, they are very good in this. Even the others, Russians, even Rafale, the French J-10C, or any Chinese aircraft with high thrust to weight ratio. So if it was like any other aircraft than this, the pilot would have definitely recovered from his mistake. So that's I think that the chain of events, it went like this, that the pilot, he made a mistake for whatever reason. It was a pilot error. He lost altitude. At that time, most probably he was not completely aware of his surroundings. Maybe partial impairment. As I said, the oxygen was deprived for 1 to 2 seconds. He went numb. We call it gray out. Like the blackout is when you like lose consciousness. So the gray out is that you just first lose the peripheral vision, then your color vision, and that means that you are going towards that G lock, G induced loss of consciousness. So a professional pilot, he immediately he would have known that okay, I am graying out and I'm going towards the blackout. But within that 1 to 2 seconds, he did not have any altitude. If it was at high level, I don't think anything would have happened. It is very, very normal for any fighter pilot that you are graying out and you just
Come
ease
back.
out on the G's. And yeah, you just relax and then you come back in the fight and whatever. But here, because he was already at low level, so if it happened to him, he just lost that altitude, and after that, the aircraft, because as I told you that Sahil Singh account, I don't know the details, but he was very very like uh, angry with me. I'll say that I'm trying to belittle Tejas and I'm trying to maybe defame their aircraft, that it's thrust to it. And I was actually trying to tell him objectively that I have sympathy for the Indian Air Force pilots, because the Indian state or the Hindustan Aeronautics Limited, this is false advertising. Once you are saying that the thrust to weight ratio is more than one, as a pilot, I can clearly see that this is not true. The aircraft is definitely underpowered, because you, again, we can go in the details of Tejas program also. I can give you the reason why it happened. Briefly,
Yeah.
I think
We,
many
yeah.
of the
We'll
people
go to
from,
that. We'll go to that.
yeah. So many of the
Okay.
people will already know,
Yeah.
but
Yeah. You
briefly,
complete. Yeah.
yeah. So I was born like in 1986. So Tejas program started 3 years before my birth in
Yeah. No. No.
1983.
We'll go to the Teja's history. But
Yeah.
before that, you were saying something. You want to complete that? What were
Yeah,
you
so
saying?
so so I was like talking about that this aircraft is underpowered, and
Yeah.
I'll go into the reasons why it is underpowered when
Okay.
I'll cover
Okay.
the history.
Okay.
Secondly, another thing here, that if the pilot, he gave the control input, right, from this now I'm coming back to that maneuver from knife's edge. Once it is inverting, there is a possibility that it was not pilot error. He gave input full stick forward for that negative G maneuver to keep the nose above horizon. And the aircraft fly-by-wire system, digital flight control system, which is like controlled by computers and electronic signals, like you move the stick and the electric signals, they go towards the control surfaces, and the aircraft control surfaces, they move, and then the aircraft responds. So there is a possibility that if he gave the control input, I don't know this because this can only be surely known after an inquiry. If the Indians, the state Indian Air Force and the government, they reveal the details, only then we will know that whether it was a pilot error, he failed to give the control input because of whatever reason, or he actually, being a professional pilot, he gave the control input, right control input at the right time, but the aircraft response was
Was
not
slow.
there. It can be due to any issue, control surfaces, fly-by-wire control system, and because the software. Now, in the last episode, we also talked about the importance of software in the
Yeah.
hardware these aircraft. So this is all just a computer software. where the pilot moves the control stick, and then that electrical signal goes to the actuators that, okay, now move the elevons or ailerons, and then the aircraft will respond. So if there was some glitch, there was some bug in the software, and the pilot was giving input, but aircraft was not responding. So that is also a possibility, and then that will be a big question mark on the production quality of Hindustan Aeronautics Limited, because that means that this was not a pilot error. But as I said, that the we will not know until the inquiry it is revealed that whether the pilot gave the input. If he didn't give the input, then pilot error. If he gave the input, then definitely technical fault of the machine. But the thing which I am sure about is that the once the mistake was made, there was a brief window where he could have
Recovered.
recovered from his mistake. Yeah. So his life would have been saved once the aircraft would fly away from the ground, because there are other instances where such things happen. But definitely, because I'm 100% sure that Tejas is underpowered, it is less than one. So here he was trying to fly away, but the aircraft went straight into the ground. It pancaked, like we call it pancake. That means that it went straight like this, not nose first, right? So the wings were level, nose were high. It was clear that the pilot is
Trying to fly
trying to
away.
fly away. Yeah, but the aircraft did not respond because of that.
So,
Underpowered, all the things are issues. Yeah.
Ali bhai, the biggest question right now is what I think is, why didn't the pilot eject? Why didn't the pilot come out of the plane? And
So
because
again,
by the posturing of the plane, it looks like someone inside is trying to take the plane up. So that means that he's back. Even if he went unconscious
yeah.
for a while, he's back. Why didn't he eject?
So again, as I said, two things. First is I think he was trying to save the aircraft. So once both hands are on the stick, you are pulling the stick back, trying to fly away. So you cannot just move your hands from the stick to the ejection handle. So he was hoping that maybe the aircraft will respond and he will be able to fly away. So it was a split second decision that should I go for the ejection handle or should I keep trying to aircraft. So as a pilot, I know there are many other. There was an F-16 crash in Islamabad also. Wing Commander Noman, he embraced Shahadat, and then very recently, in Poland there was a Polish F-16 crash. Major Slab, one of my favorite demo pilots, he crashed. Like in a, it was different from this crash because they were performing the loop, low level loop. So once they were coming from the top apex of the loop, and there was a judgment error and they went straight into the ground. So generally the pilots, they are trying till last second to save the aircraft. So I think that maybe he was hoping that he could have only done one thing, whether I can pull back the stick with
Yeah.
both hands and just hope that the aircraft will fly away, or I can leave the stick and I can go for ejection handle. So as I said that he must be
He
a
was
professional
trying.
guy. So yeah, he was trying to save the aircraft, but because the aircraft failed him, so after that he did not have any time. Even if he thought that, okay, now I am a goner, this is game over, maybe I should leave the control stick and pull the ejection handle. There was no time for that. So I don't know whether that decision was made or not. But the first thing, as any good pilot, he was trying to save the aircraft. And after, once he was, I don't know, maybe he was sure that I am a goner and the aircraft is going into the ground. He did not have any time because at that altitude, at that speed, it is just a split second. So if he would have gone for ejection, it would have been before this, like when he is trying to fly away. And I agree with you absolutely that at that time, I'm 100% sure that even if he had that lost consciousness or partial impairment for 1 to 2 seconds, after completing the role, and at this time when he is wings level, he was like now awake, fully conscious, fully in control, and he knew what he was doing. So he could have ejected at that point, but as I said, he was trying to save the aircraft, that maybe any other aircraft, better aircraft would have saved his life. But
Okay.
he went into the ground and he couldn't eject.
Another question, just curious. Can we eject? Can a
Yeah.
pilot eject while the plane is like this? From here.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
so he's gonna fly
They,
away
again,
from the plane.
if you just Google, there have been instances.
Mm-hmm.
I think it was the Russian Su-27 or MiG-29. He was just like this, inverted, and there is like a drogue chute, a small chute before that main parachute. So its job is that it has to like upright the seat. So
Okay.
whatever attitude you have ejected, so you are like, even if you're like this, the seat will rocket will fire and the drogue will upright the seat and you will go away from the ground. So then the shoot will blossom, and it has happened in the past also. So even if he was here and he was like coming out of this role, if he would have ejected here, I think he definitely, maybe, I don't know, maybe is safe. Ejection is not always safe. Actually, even after ejection, there is a chance that that can be fatal, because often even after ejection the pilots are injured, and sometimes they die right there, sometimes they go to hospital. And ejection does not mean that there is a 100% chance that your life will be saved, but definitely it's like better than going into the ground, so you have a better chance, higher probability. However, as I said, that the first instinct of any pilot, it is not to go for the ejection handle, it is to go for the control stick, pull it back, and try to just save the aircraft and fly away from the ground. So if, even if he would have ejected in an inverted attitude like this, even if I were ejected like when it was going down towards the ground, the modern ejection seats and Martin Baker, this British ejection seat, it is a very good seat. It would have saved his life, most probably. So that does not mean what is the like, does not matter what is the current attitude of the aircraft. The engineers, or maybe the manufacturer of the ejection seat, they cater for this, that the pilot can eject close to ground when he is facing upside down, right? So the canopy, the cockpit is towards the ground. So if the seat comes out straight, the pilot will straightly, the seat will go definitely into the ground. So they have now this technology that whatever the attitude of the aircraft, once you eject, it keeps you upright towards the sky, away from the ground, and then the shoot blossoms. And then if you do not have any other injuries or any other issues, because ejection is, it's quite brutal and violent. A lot of G's, 18 to 20 G's, then there is a rocket under your seat, right? Once that shoot blossoms, then once you land on the ground, there can be injuries to your backbone, injuries to your legs, etc. But this inverted attitude, like you asked the question, so that is now possible with modern technology, that the pilot will be saved. He will not go in the ground if the aircraft is inverted.
So let's come towards the geopolitics of this side, because you can ride on both sides. What is the Indian government saying about this entire incident? I know about the inquiry. The inquiry is in process, not completed yet. But what is the Indian government's first reply of this?
I just wrote an article yesterday on this, that Hindustan Aeronautics Limited, like their government, it's a government company, and I don't know, semi-government or directly government, but still, like it's a government-owned company, I think. And they are a part of, I'll say, government or the state machinery. So they have issued a statement that this was an isolated incident caused by exceptional circumstances. So the article I wrote, it was my hypothesis was that this is not an isolated incident. The Hindustan Aeronautics Limited have actually failed the pilots, Indian pilots, and I have my sympathy for them, because, as I said, I can go in the history of Hindustan Aeronautics Limited and Tejas and everything. So it's a long list of failures.
Please,
So
please,
this
let's start
crash
the history.
is,
Yeah.
yeah, okay. So why I'll just complete it also, that why I'm saying that this is not an isolated incident, because as I said, that the long list of failures is clear evidence that this incident was bound to happen. The pilot, he, I don't know whether the state will blame him. I don't know whether they will say it was a pilot, because now he's gone, he cannot defend himself. So if you say that the machine is perfect and it was pilot's fault, he cannot come and say that no, it was not my fault. He is gone from this world. So it is very easy for anybody to blame the pilot now. But as I said, that I have enough empirical evidence that once I see the history of this program, it is literally, I think I'll try to keep it brief, but actually you can literally write a whole chapter on this. The problems with this program. It started in 1983, as I said before my birth. In 1984, they made this company or this organization, Aeronautical Development Agency (ADA), and its sole purpose was to make this aircraft to replace the MiG-21s. MiG-21 was a Russian aircraft which has just recently retired on 26 September 2025. So they took 17 years, 18 years rather, from 1983 to 2001 to develop the first prototype, which was, we call it technology demonstrator. It was just like a proof of concept. It just flew in 2001 and it was not ready for service or anything. Then another 15 years in 2016, the first Tejas Squadron, number 45 Squadron, it became operational, but the aircraft was still not war capable because this was IOC, initial operational clearance. So, like it was the in-flight refueling capability, the weapons, etc. So, in short, it cannot go to war in case of any conflict with whether Pakistan, China, whatever. So, it was not combat capable. Now, in 2020, the first four aircraft, which were FOC, final operational clearance, they were delivered to number 18 Squadron, which again it was, I think, completed, the number was completed in 2021, 2022, until 2024. That aircraft stayed in Solur base in Tamil Nadu, which is in the south of India, and we know that there is no Chinese border or Pakistani border there. So it was away from the main area of conflict or whatever. In 2024, just last year, that squadron number 18 squadron was moved from this Solur base to Western Southwestern Command in Gujarat, Indian base of Nalia. So close to, I'll say, Arabian Sea and Karachi and that theater of operations. Now the first Tejas crash was in 2024. It was again this FOC, final operational clearance. The first squadron, it had 16 aircraft. So one crashed in 2024, so 15 left. Now the other second crash, same squadron, now 15 minus 1, 14 left. So I'll you can ask this question from anybody around the world. You start a program in 1983 and in 2025, today it's I think 26 November 2025, you only have 14 aircraft which are capable of going to war, and their capability is still, as I said, below par because it is an underpowered aircraft. You do not have an indigenous engine. For 40 years, they tried to, they have this again, the organization or the different setup, GTRE, Gas Turbine Research Establishment. So its job was to make an indigenous engine, Kaveri engine for this Tejas aircraft. After 40 years and millions of dollars, I don't know, whatever the rupees they were, Indian rupees, I think it must be in billions. They were wasted on R&D, and now they have finally shelved that project that maybe we are going to put that engine in our UAV, the drones, Ghatak drones and that all that, but it is not fit for a manned fighter jet. So they are dependent upon American General Electric company for the engine. The As I said, the radar and avionics is Israeli. The seat is British. So I don't know. Apart from design, which is also very old, it is a Mirage compound delta wing. Delta is this triangular shape of the wing. So it was in our old Mirages 60s, 70s wing design. So, however, I'll not go in that detail again. I don't want to offend them, but this is the truth. It is not an indigenous aircraft because of all these things which I have told you, but they want to call it indigenous. So let's go with indigenous made in India. If it is made in India, as I said already, that 1983 to 2025, 14 aircraft, 1-4, like war capable, and then because they are already obsolete, now that weight which I was trying to tell you before, that why it is underpowered, the engine is very good, it is an American engine, it has a certain amount of thrust, but once you continue increasing the weight of the aircraft, because in 2025 now we are talking about sixth generation aircraft, fifth generation aircraft, autonomous drones, AI assisted aircraft, maybe manned, unmanned, etc., cyber space, emerging technologies, multi-domain operations. So if you are still in that 80s and 90s technology, that aircraft is definitely obsolete without even being inducted in Indian Air Force. So to keep it relevant, you have to add something every day. Maybe missile approach warning system, Mars, then we call it chaff and flare dispenser, the big CFDs for countermeasures, electronic countermeasures. Then the demand is that we need this much hard points which can carry weapons. So should be able to carry this kind of weapon, this kind of weapon. So the weight is increasing, and the thrust of the engine, that is definitely constant. So the thrust to weight ratio, it is definitely less than one, because you are continuing with new additions every day. The Indian Air Force is demanding, and actually they are, my sympathies are with the pilots. I'll say that actually they are right, because they are going to fly this aircraft into combat. So if you were supposed to give this aircraft to Indian pilots 25 years before, right? And whatever reasons for the delay, whether it was bureaucratic red tape, their own Indian defense analysts, they call them babus, the babu culture,
Yeah, yeah.
the bureaucrats, and
Mm.
then the political coercion and the saffronization from the, especially this BJP government. So I don't know, I don't care whatever the reason is for the Hindustan Aeronautics Limited's failures and delay. But this aircraft was supposed to come into Indian service 20 to 25 years ago. Now, if you are going to give them in 2025, rather 2025 is almost over. This aircraft in next they have on order 83 plus 97, two orders. So first was of 83 aircraft, and now there is a new order of $7 billion of 97 aircraft. And now Hindustan Aeronautics Limited is saying that we will be able to deliver these aircraft to Indian Air Force by 2033, 2034, 8 years down the line. So just imagine that I am talking about fifth generation, sixth generation, and you are going to give me, if I'm an Indian pilot, this aircraft in numbers in 2033. So 1983 and 2033. How is this project a success? Even if my Indian friends they don't like my comments about that, I'm bashing Hindustan Aeronautics Limited or Tejas or whatever. Just tell me this, that after $12 billion, 12.6 or $12.7 billion of orders, zero export orders, and that is before this crash. I'm not talking about this crash right now. Even before this crash, Tejas had zero export orders, and the Indian Air Force was not happy with it. The government forced them to buy, because Hindustan Aeronautics Limited, the HAL company, has only one customer, which is Indian Air Force. So if that customer also says that we are not going to buy this aircraft, they have to shut down their at least fighter aircraft. They have other products also like helicopters
Yeah,
and
yeah.
the engines, etc. So
What?
that's I think the issue with Tejas.
They're
Tejas.
making
Yeah,
helicopters as well. What other things are is the
yeah.
HAL making?
There is this Dhruv helicopter. That's another story. I'll tell
Mm.
you about that also, whether it is success or not.
Mm.
So they gave six helicopters to Ecuador, this Dhruv helicopter, advanced
Mm.
light helicopters,
Mm.
and I think two or three of them crashed
In
in
Ecuador.
Ecuador. And then they, yeah, Ecuador. So they gave them back, and Indians were like, "We will give you for free," and etc. And they said, "No, we don't want it." So they gave it back. Now the Indian again government, they forced the Coast Guard, the Indian Air Force, the Indian Navy to buy them in numbers. And there is an article by first flight commander of the naval Dhruv Squadron. The truth hurts, and he talks about Hindustan Aeronautics Limited about this helicopter because he was a helicopter pilot. And he, if you read that article again, you will have sympathy for the Indian pilots, whether they're Indian naval pilots or Indian Air Force pilots. He talked about the ethics and the quality and the standards of Hindustan Aeronautics Limited being so poor that the machine that he was flying, it should have been banned, or it should not have been bought by the Indian Navy. But unfortunately, because within India they do not have any option, the Prime Minister Modi had that Atmanirbhar, self-reliant Bharat. So
Hmm.
he wants self-reliance. So per force they have to buy that. But no Hindustan Aeronautics Limited machine, the flying machine, is flying anywhere outside India. People will say that we have given one Dhruv to like Ecuador, they have given to one to Sri Lanka and maybe one to UAE also, free of cost. I think that okay, you fly this, and if you like it, you can put in an order for us. There are no export orders for Hindustan Aeronautics Limited. They are making machines. Then there is another other helicopters, like I think it Prachand. Its name is Prachand. It is same that um, gunship helicopter. It's made in India and it has some, I think, machine gun and some missiles also. Again, zero export orders. So Indian Army and Indian Air Force has to buy whether they like it or not. And they don't like it actually. There is ample amount of evidence that the Indian Air Force is not happy with it. But as I said, that even if they say no, it is a below par machine, whether the helicopter or the fighter jet. The government, they have enough pressure on them that they say you have to buy, you are our only customer. However, export orders, even before, as I said, that before this crash, Hall was in hot waters, no export orders, no, I'll say, reputation and credibility around the aerospace industry in the world. And now, after this crash, the situation will definitely worsen. There is a Reuters article that this crash has dampened
Yeah.
Indian hopes of exporting
Mm-hmm.
everything to other countries. They were asking Armenia, they were asking Philippines, Sri Lanka, Malaysia, Indonesia, many other countries also. I think wherever they have, we have put JF-17, or South Korea has given their FA-50, that another lead-in fighter trainer, light combat aircraft. So they have pitched their Tejas, but zero export orders, multiple reasons. Hindustan Aeronautics Limited, I think they, even if the pilots are professional, the engineers or their babus or their politicians or whatever, they definitely need to come up, because right now Indian military industrial complex, at least I don't know more about this Navy and Army of India. Maybe they have problems, maybe they are going good, but this aerospace, I am a pilot, so I have interest in air power. The aerospace industry of India, it has serious issues, and that's why I said that their statement that it was an isolated incident, I don't, absolutely don't agree with it. It was not an isolated incident. They have deep rooted issues, whether it is because of their bureaucrat, as I said, I don't know the reasons, whether they are some socio cultural reasons, whether they are not hardworking enough. I don't know about any reason. I don't live in India, but definitely, what I am 100% sure is that the pilots are not happy with the machine, and it is a below par aircraft, definitely underpowered, and I don't think so. It will get any export orders. Only customer will be Indian Air Force, because Indian Air Force has no choice. They have to buy it per force.